What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Salt and Light podcast, the number one podcast in Greater Portland. We got a special guest today.
And the Clark's Pond Plaza. Already messed up.
What makes him special, by the way?
Plaza.
Everything about him.
Everything about him?
Yeah, that's not very
He's
special.
a listener. That's
one of
special.
our few guests.
Yeah.
We haven't had many guests, so all guests are special.
Yeah.
But
He's the best drummer in South Portland.
Now that's a bold statement.
that is a bold statement. Less bold, though, than
But
us
if you
saying
think
that
you're a
this
better-
podcast
If
is
you
the
think
best.
you're a better drummer than Josh, then you have to come into the building and have a drum off with Josh Fournier.
Yeah, that'd be fun,
And
actually.
prove yourself.
Yeah.
That would be actually really fun.
That would
I'd
be
love
fun.
to see that.
This is for you, Josh.
Just kind of, ooh.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just for you.
It's early in the day.
By the way, Josh Fournier, our guest for the day.
Midnight.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes. I mean, let me just say, longtime fan, first time caller. This is amazing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm very pumped.
So tell us about your life and what makes you tick.
Oh my goodness, that's a big question.
Every little bit of it.
Oh,
He's a great drummer, that's for sure.
well, thanks.
That's just one small
What
bit of who you are.
What would you, as a listener to the podcast, how would you tell somebody to go listen to the podcast? What would you say about it?
To encourage them to listen to
encourage them to listen.
I just normally just say, hey, you got to check out this podcast. Listen to it. Salt and Light. It's from our church.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun banter and hijinks, but also some great spiritual nuggets.
Yeah. Are there monkey shines?
Nuggets in
Monkey
there.
shuns?
Monkey shines and tomfoolery as well?
Tomfoolery. I'm not sure
Okay.
about the monkey.
shines
That was
are
another
kinda-
Kurt reference
yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of went over most of our heads,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I missed that
one or
one.
two people got.
From a different generation.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's probably in Seinfeld somewhere.
Yes. Oh, I saw some good Seinfeld just the other day.
Did
Yeah,
you?
Yeah, it makes me laugh. I'm working out in the rowing machine down in the
It is a
basement.
comedy, so
Oh, yeah?
it should make you laugh.
Well,
Do you
You
check
know,
how many
I've got-
calories you
I have an
burn on
eclectic
a
taste.
row session? Or
I do. I do 10 sessions of 500-meter intervals with a minute and a half rest between.
That's pretty good.
That's what all our listeners wanted to hear.
That's called
But
HIIT
so what I
training.
do is I have Seinfeld on kind of the computer while I'm watching, and it's disruptive when you're really putting your burn on
When you laugh.
and you start to
Yeah.
laugh.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a good core workout.
Yeah. But, it takes
give you
something good
hiccups.
to make you do that.
Most
yeah.
people, I feel like, listen to like music while they work out, and you're over there watching Seinfeld.
No,
episodes,
I need
which
the time
just
to
kinda
pass.
cracks me up.
Or a movie I might have on sometimes. But lately it's been
you go.
Seinfeld, yeah.
Nice.
I find that it guides me in life. Not maybe guides me, but I find all of life's references in
Oh, really?
Seinfeld. Yeah,
Like a parable.
I can assign a
Chronicle of
Seinfeld
parables.
episode to everything that happens in life.
I could kind of see
That's how I
that.
feel about
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of episodes.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
And-
And your son does the same thing, by the way.
What's that?
Find like references life through Seinfeld.
Yes,
Or
I
just
brought
in-
him up.
Jake
Right,
is the master of like references.
He,
though.
he has the whole Seinfeld on DVD, the whole series.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Which is a thing of the past
Yeah,
nowadays.
it is.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
DVDs
before,
aren't.
it's before
yeah.
it was streaming.
And then you go,
he was an early
you
adopter.
know it's on. Is it on Netflix now?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Now it is. I think it has been for a while.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry,
Oh,
Adam.
that
Wow,
was a
that was
little
a
bit
salty.
cutting, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's really not our culture here. In Salt Lake. Sorry about that, guys. Adam and I.
3 minutes in, we're already shooting shots.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question now, because here's what we want to do. So, are you familiar with what a sine wave is?
No, please tell me.
So, because I almost had an electronics engineering degree before I got the other engineering degree I had, but it's right. What did you just do? It's like that, right?
If this was a video
if
podcast,
you're looking
you'd
at an
see it.
O-scope, if you're looking at an O-scope or an oscilloscope, it just goes up and down like a wave. And so that's what we do here. We'll move back and forth from different topics. We'll have great hilarity, and then we'll get darn serious for a minute.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's right.
So here's my question.
Yeah,
here's
hit
my
us with
question.
some
So
darn
I need
seriousness.
you to have some thought about this. I was just asked a few folks earlier today, and they were having a hard time coming up with it. So we've talked a lot about our experiences with Jesus, yes, and how how awesome it is, and that he'll give us words of encouragement as well. So I was thinking, how do we reciprocate to him? I was praying this morning, thinking about this, that we're to obey him, we're to do we give him glory, we worship in spirit and truth. Those are all good, and we're to do those things. But just as much as I enjoy how he impacts me, how does he enjoy how we impact him? Because I was thinking, Jesus, as I'm praying to you, I really I want you to have as good a time as I'm having right now. And what would that take? So what I'm asking for is scripture references that might kind of explain that. We find that when he talked to Moses, he talked to a man, as a man talks to a friend. We see Jesus says, I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. And so we see Adam walk through the garden in the cool of the evening with God.
Yep.
So those are all getting close.
Right.
But we don't hear God saying, I love it when you say X, Y, and Z. Can you think of anything that comes close to that?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think.
Usually
I'm good on the scripture references.
Because I want to find that. I want to say it to him.
I feel like there's somewhere where the Lord sings over us.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
So he sings over us, but what do we do that says, I dig talking to Graham. Graham's got something good to say to me today.
I can mostly think of the times where Jesus is kind of delighted by things that people do.
He's delighted in it, and our prayers are incense, right? So it's an aroma to him.
I thought of the time where Jesus was approached by the centurion, and he said, nowhere in Israel have I seen so much faith.
So he likes it when we come to him in faith.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would assume that pumped him up.
Yeah.
That got him excited.
Yeah. And I would assume that as well. I was just looking for something
more.
rock hard.
Yeah.
Rock hard that's out there.
I don't know. I'm going to have to phone a friend on this
fine.
one.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just keep thinking of it, and our listening audience think about it as well, and then email Adam. Tell him what you have to say.
Wouldn't that be crazy if someone just called me up right now and just gave me an example?
That'd be good.
It's like, wait,
God just told me to call you. I don't know why.
Man, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Back when we had our radio show, we used to be able to do that because we'd be live.
Yeah,
with the callers.
Radio show.
Yeah,
You got to get that.
those were the days. When we had the little transistor and all the kids would be listening to us all day long on that. That was back in the 70s.
Oh.
I sometimes listen
Salt
to
and
the
Light
radio.
existed in the 70s?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Wow, time
The
hop.
more you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a scripture reference, but I think what I'm hearing you, so one of my prayers have changed is instead of going into a situation or in a prayer time and say, God, what do you have for me? But switch it and say, what do I have for you? What do I have to offer you in this? And thinking more that way has changed my outlook on certain situations or, because I think we're such a consumer culture.
So when you have something for him, what does that look like?
Normally it's through time or talents or gifts or finances or something like that, or words of encouragement for somebody, as I'm going into praying into an event or a Sunday morning or, it's not like, God, what am I going to get out of this? It's what am I going to give back to you through this and honor him. So I don't know where scripturally that comes in, but that's been a mindset of mine. That's been the past couple of years. And that switched pretty much during COVID because that was my lowest of spiritual moments of sitting at home with kids and love, as much as I loved my family and kids, it just got tiring, you know, and it was I need you. And that was when he's like, no, I need to give it back to you. I don't need, the opposite.
Yeah. We'll let that percolate.
Yeah.
Come up with some things. An observation. Can I share an observation?
Please
that
do.
I had today. So we were out harvesting today, out in a neighborhood, chatting with people, praying with them, talking to a Muslim grandmother, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
And this was kind of an interesting thing, and so this is kind of on motivation, similar lines that we were just talking about. That she was telling us she wakes up every morning at 4 o'clock and she prays for an hour and a half to Allah.
Come on, that's crazy.
And
that's devotion right there.
well, see, that's what you'd think. But what I was thinking is that devotion or is it fear?
Wow.
Because you have to fulfill this sort of law in order to then.
What's your motivation in doing
get,
that?
You're right.
Yeah.
And And so then in that, my observation isn't
ask
so
her
much
that?
about her. My observation is about us, Jesus followers, is that we don't do that necessarily because we have grace, right?
Right.
So so consequently we go the other way and might not do much at all.
Sure.
Right? So that's
We
a
feel like we're
dangerous
in the
thing.
clear.
So which is more dangerous? To follow the letter of the law or to just have a casual
I would
cavalier
assume our
attitude?
fear would be different
Yeah.
in the sense of our fear would be what would I be missing out on if I'm not spending time with God?
Well, ultimately,
You know.
yes. That's what we want to. That's what we want to get to, right?
But it's less of a intense fear than the idea that God would be sending you to hell if you don't spend an hour and a half of prayer a day.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I think we should have that genuine fear that, man, I'm not going to be able to step into who God has for me today to be
Jesus
the
FOMO.
best version. Yeah, Jesus FOMO. And I'm not going to be able to have that sweet time.
Fear of
with
missing
him.
out, Kurt.
Yeah, FOMO.
I had no
You
clue
didn't know what that
FOMO
meant.
meant.
You're
For the boomers, that's fear of missing out.
What is that? Do you put that on texts or
You're
what?
like
What do
the
you-
acronym king, Kurt, and you didn't know what FOMO was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, come on.
That
You come up
surprises
with
me.
like 2 acronyms a day.
Well, I make my own up though.
Yeah.
So-
His normally
you don't
make
latch
good
on to
sense.
other
You're talking about culture.
acronyms.
No,
yeah.
I've never heard of FOMO.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
I
There
think
you are.
Well, that makes sense.
Adam
So that
put
would
it
be like
perfectly.
a
Jesus
social media, social
Yeah.
deal because that's what people are most afraid of, right? Missing out.
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah.
They say that that's what social media does is it makes us
That's why
sad
there's an
because we
acronym
feel like
for
we're
it.
missing out on all the
I
good
wanna-
times
I'm,
of other
I'm
people's
now
life.
going to reconsider my life and see how I can insert that acronym into it.
Into FOMO into your
FOMO
life.
into my everyday life.
Have you ever experienced FOMO, Kurt? You seem like a pretty content type of person.
Oh, no. I think I like to not miss out. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. Well, you know why? Because I've talked about this earlier on in our thing. One of my besetting sins is the need to be significant and to have significance, right?
Yeah.
So missing out lessens my significance.
True.
But hopefully that's being lessened every day. I don't need that. I just want to make Jesus significant.
I feel like that's relevant for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because when you say that, that resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
Is I want to be significant too. And it scares me to think that I would go part or all of my life without being significant. But I think it's kind of another paradigm shift of like, who do I want to be significant in front of? Do I want to be significant in front of men or do I want to be significant in God's eyes?
Yeah.
Because it could look a lot different
Yes.
depending
Oh,
on whose eyes you're trying to perform for, you know?
Right. Like Josh wants to be the best drummer in all of South Portland.
Right, exactly.
He already is.
You already
guys
was.
are-
Sorry,
but
yeah,
he's
I
got
see.
that.
You guys are putting words in my
All
mouth
the
'cause
world.
I am
very
absolutely
significant.
not at all. And there are so many drummers that are way better than I am.
One.
But how
In
many
South
how
Portland.
many
One
are
or in South
A
Portland.
lot that I know of, actually. There are some
Depends.
really,
All right,
really
going to
Bring
a
talented.
us
mall
your
or
best
something like that.
drummers because
Yeah.
we need to see a drum battle here at the point
A
Yeah.
drum off.
in the auditorium.
I'd
drum
get
off, yeah.
smoked by so many players.
Really?
We'll get
Yeah.
Nick Cannon here
Nick Cannon.
from Drumline.
No, that was terrible. That's like the go-to movie that people are like, "Oh, you're a drummer." Like
seen
you've seen
Drumline?
Drumline? Yeah.
So I've never
Every time. It's
Josh doesn't even know how to read notes,
Yeah.
musical
Name of the
notes. He
movie,
just
dude.
knows by ear. That was like the plot twist in that one. I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Yeah.
like, I can't read music.
Yeah.
I just play by ear.
Well, every
never- I was
shot
like,
of
"Oh
Nick
my
Cannon, there's
gosh."
no drum in it. It's just
Yeah.
him moving back and forth like he's playing and then
Straining his eyes.
or a close up of the drum. Never both.
And then he played in it, like wrote all the notes out for him as he like hit the drum, but it was on a music staff and all the notes were going up and down like he was playing musical notes, but it's all on one line. It's one note. You know, it's like completely.
Should I know
Silly.
Nick Cannon? Is he like a FOMO?
Well, he was the host
You
of
gotta be
like
careful
America's
with
Got
that, Kurt.
Talent.
Okay.
yeah.
careful
You got to
what you say.
enunciate it really closely if you're describing someone.
I said it right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's a like pop culture icon kind
Okay.
of guy.
He was a host of like.
Did he marry
America's Got
Mariah
Talent.
Carey?
He was married to Mariah Carey, right?
Yeah,
The
so-
same
yeah,
guy.
so
Okay,
you know, yeah, same
I
guy.
knew that.
Yeah, Nick Cannon,
I try
there
to
you
keep up.
I forget
anyway.
what the show's name is, but he had his own show where it was like red people dressed in red versus people dressed in black, and they'd have like rap
Oh
battles.
yeah.
remember
Wild and
what
Out.
the- Wild and Out,
like
yeah.
MTV or something.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know that one.
Yeah.
I only know that because I saw like clips of that on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't
Okay,
have
Graham.
I didn't have cable TV growing up. I got PBS and Arthur mostly growing up, but
Wow.
He's too holy to watch.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So
I
guys,
totally
don't
grew up
judge
on
me
MTV.
thinking that
The
I was
Royal
watching-
Strondax.
TRL.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think he was married to Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was his like claim to fame there.
Yeah. And he was like hosting like America's Got Talent for a while, and
Yeah.
before Terry Crews.
I wouldn't
Terry
want to.
Crews is, I feel like he's like made
Dude's
for that.
jacked.
Yeah. And he's just got electric energy too.
Yeah.
That smile. And then he does that peck thing. where-
Yeah. He can
Yeah,
play
he
a
does do
flute.
the
I mean,
peck
it's
thing.
the,
Can he?
yeah, he plays the flute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway,
Terry
Yeah.
Crews, come on.
Okay.
He was just on
Apparently
Carrie Newhoff's podcast. I haven't
Is he?
listened to it, but that was kind of surprising for me.
He's a Christian.
yeah, he is. Yeah.
But we don't mention other podcasts on.
No, we don't want to.
So I broke a rule.
We want full on significance here.
Yeah.
no.
Adam, can you bleep that part out?
Yeah. I'll censor it.
No, it's a good podcast. but
Redacted.
Not as good as this one. So, Josh, I have a deep question for you.
Oh, geez.
How do you feel like we can, or you personally have experienced God through music?
Good question. Well, I think music in general, and then there's worship, right? Because there's like music can be anything,
Right.
reggae or jazz or samba. There's like a ton of different styles of music.
It's generic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like speaking.
Yeah.
Could
And
be.
so when I first started like playing music, it was to like just be better, get better at things. I'd hear music and I would want to play it, and it would make me, like I would hear something, and like I was working in my workshop this weekend, and I was listening to Hamilton actually, and like a song
nice.
came on, and I was like
So
dancing,
good.
and Beth came down, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Could you
it just-
dance for us right now?
No, not right now.
Kurt,
I mean,
do you
unless
know
you
what
can
Hamilton
beatbox.
is?
That's a play on Broadway.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's
You got it.
incredible, and there's some really
actually
great, some
very-
like great grooves in
I think
there.
I'm
So
an oaf.
like that was what it was driven by, was to be able to play those kinds of grooves, and it was more for me. Versus then when I started going to church in high school, and then in my 20s, really understanding worship, and it's be able to you take that gift and talent and be able to use it for Him, and to bring like no distractions and not like overplay it like I used to, those kinds of things.
Right.
But the lyrics, to me, is what's so important and significant. I forgot the original question, but that's where I feel more connected to God, because it's singing adoration, it's singing praise, and it's really hard, I think, mostly for guys to speak their heart to Him a lot of times and like put words to what we're feeling, because
Right.
guys aren't as emotional as women are, for the most part.
For yourself.
We are. We're like, at least I'm not. Like,
Adam's
I mean, I'm an
over there
emotional guy.
crying.
I cry at the Notebook, but like,
Wow, I've never seen the Notebook.
yeah.
Kurt, come on.
I think that's one way that has helped me like give praise back and adoration back to God through music, and give me a vocabulary to use.
Yeah.
So does that answer it?
I think so. Yeah. I
beautiful.
like
Yeah.
that answer. Yeah, a lot.
Questions aren't important here. It's what you say.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think also music helps other people worship God, because you're trying to create a beautiful atmosphere. Like when I walked into, there was a chapel in Montreal, and I don't know the name of it. And the first part of it was like really creepy. It was like a Gothic part of the chapel. And then there was like a backside of the chapel. What's that?
Like
There's
gargoyles?
Yeah, there's like gargoyles.
I've been there.
And like,
yeah, it's kind of dark. Almost.
yeah, kind of like mannequin-y looking
Yeah.
figures,
Yeah.
like surrounding the nativity, and like a mannequin-y looking Jesus on the cross that had like one stream of blood. And I was like, I think he probably bled a lot more than that. But
Single
anyways,
The guy from the Lord of the Rings was there.
yeah.
Precious.
Yes, Meagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be, yeah.
But then as I walked into the back, there was like this really well lit like area where people were genuinely praying, and it was actively used, and it said like, please be quiet in this section. And there was this, it was kind of like this like wooden room, and all of the pews were like this like oak colored wood, and it was really pretty. And then in the backdrop was this big like picture made of what looked like brass or some kind of metal, and it was a bunch of people praying up to Jesus, and Jesus is like looking down at his people, and they were like abiding with him, like his hair like turned into vines, and each of them were like connected to him. And it was just like, as I looked at it, it like took my breath away. Maybe I didn't do a good job describing it, but I was just like, wow, this was really beautiful. And it actually brought me into a state of like worship, and it brought emotion to my heart, you know? And I took some time to pray in that room. And I think of music being similar to that, where it's an art form where people through really good music done worshipfully can actually be brought into a place of honoring the Lord, because you're creating something beautiful. And I think God is inherently beautiful as well. You know, like when you make something good, when you make something beautiful, it brings us closer to God, because that's his nature, you know? So, yeah, I think even the instruments are important as well, as you guys are playing in harmony and everybody's doing their part, you know?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it kind of connects everybody together.
Yeah.
So
And one of the words for praise is zamar.
Zamar.
Zamar, yeah, to praise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zamar.
I would call this my hand.
What is it?
Probably
What does that
my
mean
wrist.
again, Adam?
Probably right.
It means to praise with a stringed instrument, technically.
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, I was gonna bring that up after you were saying what you were saying, because we don't even need lyrics. Definitely do help with worship, because it kind of directs our attention to something specific. But even like the fact that that word is in there as a translation for worship is cool, because it just shows that like sometimes we don't have words to say or words to praise with, whether we're in a dark place or if we're in a really good place. But God created music to potentially be an avenue that we can worship when we don't have words, which is cool.
Very cool.
As an instrumentalist, is cool.
I think that might have been like the deepest thing I've heard Adam say on the podcast.
Wow.
I was,
Wow.
The first time you talked about music, though, probably.
It's like the Mariana Trench. Yeah.
I'm awestruck right
It's
now.
hard to talk about music with Keenan.
Yeah.
No offense, Keenan.
Yeah.
He's not listening though, so
And then Katie goes, well, let me tell you about this story real quick. On this boat. No, I'm just kidding.
Maritime.
yeah.
Oh, man.
That's
Kurt,
funny.
what are you thinking right now?
Everything.
I was thinking about a walk the other night with my wife in the woods.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this like
Thinking
PG?
about
Can
that
we all?
long?
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, no, I don't know why it's coming out.
PG-13.
We're talking about.
Euphemism.
We were talking about. No, it's not like flossing.
It's an actual not this again.
Yeah. No, I took her out for a walk at night, because I'll walk in our woods at night, and I
It's
headlamp.
dangerous.
Well, it's not. But I have a
Well, it
headlamp
is.
on, and so something that she didn't realize is that when you're walking in the woods at night, you see all these little bitty eyes looking at you on the trail, and it's
Ooh.
spider eyes reflect back at you.
Oh,
Spider
interesting.
eyes,
So
really?
So you'll see little pairs
terrifying
of
to
them
me.
all the way
Running-
along, and I'll go
running
up
right
to them
back.
because they'll like to hide under a leaf, and I'll go up and I'll pick the leaf up, and there he is,
Really?
and his eyes just are very bright when it reflects back.
Did Lisa just love that?
That's terrifying.
She got used to it a little bit, but
Could you see?
she's a little
Don't
creeped out by
spiders
it.
have like many eyes?
No,
No,
just
they
two.
don't. They
There
don't
was
have
always
to?
two that was looking at you. At least these
Okay.
spiders in our woods.
Gotcha.
We're
Do you
not
know what
like
kind of spiders they
we
are?
don't live near Chernobyl or anything like that, so it's pretty much.
I thought they were like
eyes,
some
yeah.
of those insects that had multiple eyes.
Yeah, no, not these. But
Spiders have 8 eyes.
I recommend it for people, because you might not even notice it, and then you have to realize what it is, that they're just looking at you when you're coming by.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
Magdalene would
That's
hate
horrifying.
that. Knowing
Yeah.
how she reacts to spiders in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, she would.
Yeah, you'll realize
like
how
that
many
at
there
all.
are out there.
Oh gosh,
Whoa.
they're
Yeah.
everywhere, watching us.
Yeah, that was part of my Fourth of July celebration.
Did you see any fireflies? I've been having
Lots
a lot
of
those around my
fireflies.
house.
You call them? Do you have you ever heard
Lightning
of them
bugs?
called lightning bugs?
I
Yes,
have
I
heard
have.
that. I think
Okay.
that might be a little more Midwestern.
It is a Midwest, because
Yeah.
I my wife was calling them that, and because I usually been referring to them as fireflies. You know what I used to do when I was a little kid with those?
What?
Catch him?
You'd catch them
Put
and
'em in
you
jars.
squish them.
Oh,
I know.
Squish them in your fingers, and it would
Kurt.
still glow.
Oh.
That's pretty
Wow.
gross, and it might
Yeah,
appear
it's
as
a
though
little
I'm on my
sadistic.
way to some sort of bad.
It sounds like the
direction.
beginning of a
You know,
criminal.
some
I'm
mystery.
gonna
sadistic
report
kind of thing, yeah.
Kurt to the FBI now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we have quite a few out by our place. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like a
You've ever seen winter fireflies?
I love this.
Those are called ice flies.
That was a funny thing. You should probably refer.
I
to
personally
what that's
haven't
referring to.
seen winter fireflies.
Yeah. Your dad has.
Yes.
You saw a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've heard the song Fireflies.
Oh yeah,
good
Oh
song.
yeah, that's a good
it
one.
is. Can you sing
Should
it?
I tell
Yeah.
the story of the winter fireflies?
That was a
Tell
great
us, tell us
story.
the story about that. Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I came back home for Christmas break from college, and my parents were really psyched to show me these winter fireflies. It was a phenomenon that had occurred in our backyard in Westbrook, Maine, of all places. And so I was kind of doubtful because I didn't even know winter fireflies existed in the first place. And I YouTubed it, and they do exist.
It was the #1 Google search here in the office for that week.
Yeah, they exist, and they like glow in green instead of yellow. And so came home, and my parents bring me out back. It's cold out, so you don't want to stay very long. Holding on to some hot cocoa, extra detail. You didn't need that, but gives you the feel of the story.
It was helpful.
So here we are. We're looking up, and they're really high up in our back trees, far enough away that you really can't distinguish them or see them like their bodies, but you can see the glow of green. I'm like, wow, they do exist. There's winter fireflies up there.
It's like a
And so
chupacabra.
I don't remember who
Fred
myth busted this. Was it Fred?
I think it was Fred. They went over to go take pictures of it.
Right, yeah, because
Yeah.
Fred was convinced as well. Like we could have probably got the whole town there
Yeah,
convinced that
absolutely.
this was a thing, and maybe deep down I wanted to believe,
Yeah.
too. Who knows, like
Santa.
but I just wanted it to be a magical Christmas, right? That God blessed us with these winter fireflies, and so we look. I think Fred found out about it as he was driving by on 302. Our neighbor who lives just past us in our backwoods, about 100 yards away from our house, behind us, kind of over to the side. So you can't really see their house, but shooting into the front of their house was one of those spotlight LED
laser thing,
projector.
lights, and it was winter fireflies shining on their house, but it also shot over their house and into our trees. And so we were all really saddened, but also got a good chuckle to find out
But
that
like
our
for like
winter
3 days
fireflies-
straight, it was like all the talk in the office, and then on Facebook, like pictures and like, oh, these are things are
Yes,
incredible. And
it
then
was-
it turned out it was an LED show.
Yeah, we were. Yes, I think my dad was a little embarrassed, but he owned it.
Yeah.
I got over it.
And
yeah.
then I think my mom made a little lamp with like these green lights on the inside, and then on the outside of it, it said "Believe."
Yeah.
And my dad. I think there's a picture on Facebook of my dad holding it, smiling.
That's
laughing,
good, yeah.
you know, so
gotta embrace
so
it.
you gotta have to embrace
Yeah.
it. So
Wow.
sometimes you want to believe, though, and but you gotta go where the truth lies.
That's right.
So
Boom.
yeah, that was deep, right? Was that a
Very.
deep one?
That was
Yeah.
good.
I wanted to
I
get
think
a
that's
deep
the
one in.
deepest thing
Deep
you've ever
talk.
said on this podcast.
You got to follow the truth, guys, wherever it leads you. Even if it debunks your winter fireflies.
How often do you go on these journeys in the woods at night? That's what I want to know.
Oh, quite often. Yeah.
Do you ever go by yourself?
Always by myself.
Okay, so bringing Lisa's kind
That
of
was she had to stay up
that's a
late that night to
rarity.
go out. Yeah. Yeah.
How late do you go out?
Um,
in
depends.
the
So you got to go out like by 9:30 to 10 during the summer, but during the winter, you can go out
6 or 7
7
p.m.
o'clock.
Yeah.
something like
So
that.
is the purpose
45 here, so.
is the purpose to see the spiders?
No. I just know they're there. so it's nothing that she saw. So no, I go out and I'll prayer walk on the street, but then every once in a while I'll do like an hour loop out in the woods at night.
Very cool.
And just make my way back. Sometimes in that I'll listen to some kind of audio book or whatever that's kind of putting me in the mood, but then I'll just turn it off.
The Salt and Light podcast.
Hang out with Jesus. I don't know. Salt and Light podcast would probably disturb my my mojo if I was out there, because of the intense hilarity.
Right.
Yeah,
You'd
winter
have a hard
fireflies.
time getting off the floor. 'cause
Yeah, I
you'd be
would.
laughing
Yeah,
so
it'd be
hard,
hard,
right?
Right. You'd be rolling.
yeah.
So do you do most
got
of your praying while walking?
No, my
Okay.
morning times are just spent in the basement in my little room, and then I'll go out at night and I'll do a walk, and then I'll come back into the basement again for kind of some more reading, meditation.
Is it a finished
sort of thing.
basement?
Well, you know what I did? I needed a space, so I took some wood and some drywall, and I made like probably a 6 by 8 foot little room, and I built a little door for it, and
Nice.
so that's my place.
There you go.
And
I wanna
the
see
beauty
this.
is
Yeah,
for journaling purposes, I
Little
didn't
fort.
paint the drywall, so each time God gives me a new thing, I just write it on the wall. So it's just
It's like your war room.
kind of becoming a yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like an edgy teenager that like writes his song lyrics on the wall in the basement, you know,
Yeah.
for his screamo band, but a little bit different than that.
Are you talking about something that you're familiar with?
like
Yeah, actually,
Dave
growing
Grohl's childhood.
up, one of my best friend's older brother did that in his
Yeah.
basement. He wrote the lyrics of his songs on the walls of the
Breakup
basement.
lyrics.
Yeah, and he was part of a screamo band.
A
so.
scream out band. Tell me about that.
Well, basically, it was like heavy metal, and he would just kind of scream inaudibly, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Never
So I
heard of
didn't know why he worked so
screamo?
hard on his lyrics,
Yeah.
because it was just like, you know. And I
nothing
remember
wrong with
going
that.
as a 6-year-old, maybe 5 or 6, to one of his Battle at the Bands concerts in New Hampshire, and I thought I was going to lose my hearing. It was so loud. Yeah.
Do you do screamo stuff, Adam?
I listen to it. I don't
Really?
partake.
Who's
mostly because I don't have the talent.
Do you find it
who's
like
who's your favorite screamo band?
I don't think anybody listening to this is gonna know any.
But I want to hear a
I'm
name.
pretty
of
sure
one. Yeah.
Tom Fickeisen knows this.
yeah,
Tom, yeah.
He's listening to
Tom,
it.
could you come on in and tell us your
Yeah, tell
screamo?
us.
No, Bob.
Email me
Tom
your
was part
favorite
of
screamo band.
a Jesus people hippie commune back in California.
He
following
was?
Jesus, yeah. He doesn't like it when I say that about it, but that's kind of what he had. He had a group of folks that hung out and
it kind
followed
of
Jesus.
sounds kind of nice.
Oh, this is
actually.
kind of nice, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they still hang out to this day.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Does he ever go back for reunions?
They did. No, they got friends that they come out and visit one another and do those things. You could have him as a special guest if you ever wanted to. I'm sure he'd be happy to.
As long as you follow the Bible and keep your clothes on, I'm good.
Yeah. You know, Bill Simpson,
You
another.
always hear about those weird communes.
No, I don't think this was that one. I don't think
The Garden
I
of
think a
Eden
different one,
ones.
yeah.
That's next door.
Yeah.
Bill
It's down the
Simpson actually knows a lot of screamo bands, and they're Christian screamo bands. Because I know his son listened to it a lot, and the lyrics are really, really good. But
Yeah.
you couldn't understand a single one in the music because they're
Some people
screaming.
can, like my brothers would, when they would hang out with Brian,
Yeah,
they would listen to that all the time.
Brian. Okay, yeah.
Simpson.
I almost
yeah,
picture you have to listen to it a lot, like how I have to listen to my 2-year-old a lot, and then I can interpret what she
That's
says.
true.
to other
Musically,
people.
though, it's so good.
What do you
Yeah.
mean? Why is it good?
It's just
technical. It's very
it's-
technical music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of weird time signatures
Yeah.
and stuff. It's cool.
Wow.
You wouldn't think that.
You're gonna have to give me a
You have to have
sample
a
of one.
palate for it, sounds like.
Yeah.
Developed a palate for it.
Mm. It's like a nice dark roast coffee. So I had a question for you
That
guys.
was the deepest thing you've ever said.
As I
Yeah.
segue. And this is not spiritual at all, but I was thinking about it when Kurt was talking about his prayer walks at night. Now it's later because the sun sets later
That's right.
than in the wintertime. But do you guys find that this time of year you get really tired because you don't go to sleep until later? So it's kind of a catch-22 I found, because I feel like this time of year the days are long, and so you don't go to bed until later.
So
Usually,
you assume I go to bed later than I would in the winter.
maybe, I don't know,
Okay.
but maybe not.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's easier to go to bed earlier when the
Yeah.
days are shorter and it gets dark earlier.
100% agree.
Wow.
And so sometimes I
go
feel
the
like
same
this
time.
time of year,
Me
I'm
too.
like, it's like sunny. I get energized by that, but at the same time, I feel like I don't get as much.
You guys are both free
sleep.
spirits.
Because when it gets
Adam
dark,
and Graham just
when it gets dark at 3:05 p.m. in the winter,
Right? You're like, I can go to
It's
bed
like-
at 8.
and it's dark for a while, it's just
you
it's
just fall
tiring.
asleep. You're
and then
narcoleptic.
you get used to that, and then it's still light out. You're like, I can't go to bed now. It's still like kind of light out, and you feel kind of embarrassed, but you're used to going to bed at a certain time.
Right? Exactly. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Your
Yeah.
circadian
Well, just
rhythm
because one
changes.
person agrees with you doesn't mean that you're not strange.
not
Well,
consensus.
I know I'm
Anna
not
agrees
alone.
too.
Because the
That's
two
what
are
matters.
against one right
Yeah.
here. So
2v2.
Yeah.
Let's fight it out.
I go to bed normally the same time every night.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What time?
11:30 midnight.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I go to bed way earlier than you, but it's probably because my kids are younger at the moment.
Yeah.
But you got the
Yeah, I mean
The
my
young
kids go
one.
to bed around like 9.
yeah.
You know, or
Do you
like
find
8.
that you can function pretty well on like a
Little,
small amount of sleep?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I usually,
When you have 4
if I,
kids,
if
you
I don't
can-
have 7 or 8
You can
hours,
do anything off 3 hours
Yeah.
of sleep.
Any
yeah.
amount of sleep.
Well, I
is
mean,
fine.
I can have like a couple of days where I do 6 hours of sleep or so, but if I go too long, then I'm
That's
no
my
help
norm.
to
It's
anyone.
like if I get 6 hours, I'm ready to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
If
don't
I get like 4, like 5, that's like it gets a little rough. But
Wow.
like I did that a couple nights in a row, just working on a project in our basement. We're going camping, so I built a little cedar dresser for our camper. So I was downstairs to like 1:30 because by the time I get the kids to bed and then get to have some time with Beth and hang
Right.
out, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go work on it at 10, and she'll go to sleep, and then I'm down there for a few hours getting it done. So depends on what I'm doing, but
Sure.
yeah, like 6 hours is plenty.
Where are you camping?
We're going to Poland Spring Campground.
Poland Spring Campground.
Plenty of water.
When are you doing that?
Tons. Purified. Friday, couple days.
Well, it's interesting because this Saturday we'll just be up the road on 26.
No way. Where?
Closer to Bethel,
Okay.
to another campground. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
We're
Are you
camping
Are you going
pals.
to the
Yeah.
rocks?
I'll send out a radio signal.
Yeah, do that.
See if we can find each other. We'll go geocaching.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, geocaching. Nice. Do you know what that is, Kurt?
Yes, I do.
I feel like with the amount of
I
time
like
you
that
spend in the
segment.
woods, you've done it before.
No, I have not geocached, but when it first came out, I was intrigued by it because I like navigation things.
I mean, you're a treasure hunter.
Yeah, they're fascinating for me. Yeah, cool. We did treasure hunting back in the day. I'll have to do that again. Resurrect that.
Have any of you
Yeah.
guys seen the recent treasure hunting show on Netflix? It's like
I just saw that.
in
Yeah, in
Alaska.
Alaska. Yeah, the gold.
I skipped through it a lot because it was kind of boring, and I guess there were some fun parts where they were trying to dig, and then there's like it was a military base, so there was a bunch
Yeah.
of like explosive buried in the ground, and so they like pulled out a couple artillery shells from World War II. But then it was so anticlimactic, and I'm not sure it wasn't staged at the end.
I assume
'Cause
everything is staged.
The guy like was reaching under a rock. He's like, "Well, we detect some metal over here," and he pulls out like one coin out of the rock, and it was like perfectly shiny,
Yeah.
like pirate coin from like
Yeah,
the
Pirates of the
1500s
Caribbean.
or something like that. And he's like, "Whoa, it's amazing how gold doesn't oxidize at all. It looks like brand new." And then they like pulled the rock up and looked around, and of course there wasn't any other coins around. They found
Yeah.
one coin, so I was just like,
Well, thanks
I
for the
don't know.
spoiler on that because I
That
probably
seemed-
won't
yeah,
waste my
honestly.
time now.
"Well, honestly, I'm saving you time."
Yeah,
Where
I
was this?
appreciate
Where
that.
this
because
in
it was
Alaska?
very
Yeah,
anticlimactic.
it's in Alaska. It's on Disney
Pirates
Plus.
hang out in Alaska a lot.
Lots.
Well,
Yeah.
you're the only one.
Yeah.
I think it was it was Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting thought. Is
I
that
can't imagine.
well, there was a soldier in World War II out there, and he was digging around, and he found this canister filled with a bunch of pirates' gold.
Okay.
And so, allegedly, the history of that area is that pirates came and landed, and they buried a bunch of gold around. So, still out there, Kurt.
So they would have had to come through up the Aleutian Islands and then from the Pacific and come in that way.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, we didn't
That's
get
a
the
really
route.
great question.
Yeah. Well, it had to be.
It could be all
Jack Sparrow was there though.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
mythical.
Don't do it in the winter
Boys,
though.
old rum gold.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did, settle over. I don't think the pirates made it out there, but the colonials went over to Hawaii,
Yeah. Well,
Captain
yes,
Hook?
That makes sense,
right?
Captain Cook.
Cook.
Yes, he went out
Oh,
there.
that Captain Hook.
Okay, yeah. he's Jack Sparrow's nemesis. Yes.
And Peter Pan and Tinkerbell were there too.
Right? And he,
Yeah. Like
he got
Peter
eaten
Pan's-
by the alligator, right, guys? That's real life, right?
Hey, I want to show you some winter fireflies.
Yeah.
They come out in July.
You guys are realizing that I have no distinction between fantasy and reality at this point.
We knew that.
Kurt, did you go harvesting today?
We did. Yeah. Yeah, I was mentioning a couple of our events. That's where the gal told us about her.
Oh, that's right. That was today.
Interesting thing in that too. There was a young gentleman, Muslim, and he just started asking us about what we were doing. And this is an example of something that I don't think bears that much fruit. So a lot of times, if you start talking to a practitioner of Islam, they'll talk about why we think there's three gods, and then you have to try to explain the Trinity, which is a difficult explanation. And then you talk about where Jesus claims to, says he is God, and we believe he is, and so you end up having just this discussion / debate could move into an argument with what it says, and it's just not a profitable way to go about the conversation. You kind of come in another way and just develop a relationship, and then share what you think about the Bible, what they think about the Quran, and then start to have a discussion that way. So that was one experience. Then we have another family, Muslim folks from Iraq, that we've been becoming more and more friendly with. We've been spending some time at their house, so we were setting up dates for 2 weeks from now. We're going to go there, and they're going to, the mom is going to make dinner for us.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we get to hang out, and they have she has 2 teenage kids that we've been chatting with as well. So we look forward to that.
Yeah. I had some friends from Saudi Arabia in college, and they had us over, and I forget what the meal was called, but we all sat on the ground.
Yeah.
And it was just like a lot of delicious chicken and rice, and you would eat with your hands.
Eat with your hands, yeah.
And you'd get like some, like kind of like pita bread.
Yeah.
And just kind of dip it in, and
yeah,
it was kind of a free-for-all. It was like all in one big pile, and we're just going at
dishes.
It was really good.
So I have a
it's kind of like Chipotle a little bit.
Oh. I had a friend said to me, I'm really glad that we covered that in church. Now I have more of an argument with people.
Yeah.
To have my, have like my foothold on this, and now I've got my gun loaded now on how to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
And it rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, I don't think Jesus would argue. Definitely stand for something, but like, how have you seen that when you're out in the harvest, when you're saying,
let me make a provocative statement.
Please do.
All right.
Oh boy.
And then if you have problems, you can just email Adam at eastpoint.church.
I'll forward them to Kurt at eastpoint.church.
That the whole theology segment of apologetics, in my mind, is mostly preaching to the choir. Mm-hmm. It's Christians that really like apologetics because it makes us feel confident about who we are.
Makes us feel logical.
But that's not. I'm going to say not at all typical about how you bring people to Jesus is by proving who he is. It's by the Holy Spirit's power that draws people to them.
So what's our role in that?
In that, well, it'd just be how do we express, how do we declare and demonstrate the gospel? Right? So this is what Jesus did for us, that he loves them, and then as you get to know them, or maybe it's something that you just do right on the spot, recognize that we were not good enough to approach God anymore, and so but he created a way through Jesus, and so there's lots of little mechanisms for that, little story things that you can have, but for the most part, as organic as you can be, I think is the best way, because then you adapt it toward whatever situation and person you're speaking with. And I think that's the best way to go.
Not necessarily disagreeing with that, but what I found in starting point
Better not be. Come on, what does that mean?
Let me just disagree.
That's like starting a sentence with no offense, but
in starting point, I found
FOMO.
FOMO. I found that there's a decent amount of people who are kind of in a seeker. They're not anti-Christianity, but they want to know that there's reasonable answers and that Christianity is like makes sense, that it holds water.
Yeah.
Because I can sense that through the education system and through their kind of westernized modern thinking that they're wary of being duped. And I completely commend them for that.
Right.
And so they ask good questions. They want to know that the Bible's historical. They want to know that Jesus is actually a person. They want to know some
be prepared
of those
in season, out of season to give the answer that I think that's good to have an answer. I don't know that we lead with that though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's for somebody who is
lead
like it's teaching them and they believe, and this is why. It's like giving them the ground for them to stand on, but not to use as a weapon towards others. And that's where this was kind of coming from. Was like like now I have my gun loaded so that I can go and argue. But the way that you're doing it here, you're going to a house that you said they were Muslim, right, or Islamic?
Yeah,
and so. You didn't just lead with that stuff. You're going over to have dinner. You're doing this organic relationship of just showing love.
Yes.
And it's through your actions that are going to speak, then earning the opportunity to be able to have a conversation about those things.
Right. And that's one way to do it there. And it's more complex in that arena, but then there might be an occasion where you're just on the street and you only have 5 minutes with somebody, and then you might just want to let them know what the gospel is. And so and we usually lead there with, how can we pray for you? So you're offering them love up front, and then going with the next step. Yeah.
Kurt, you're like the Dale Carnegie of the Christian world.
Dale Carnegie of the Christian world?
Yeah,
Why is that?
You're just like leading. You're leading with love.
Yeah.
You're winning them over. I don't know. It's
I
just,
don't know. Yeah.
Your approach is very thoughtful, and
I want to think that Adam's pretty happy right now because you approached your 45-minute mark.
oh man,
Wow.
oh you mentioned
wanted us
time,
to, you
Kurt.
wanted us to go longer. Remember last week?
Yeah, I was relaying
how much
feedback.
longer?
that I
You
got
were relaying it,
about-
but it seemed to us that you really felt the same way. Like you wanted like
purely
hours long
relaying feedback.
podcasts. Okay.
He's just got a light work.
We still need to get our 24-hour podcast in.
24-hour podcast.
Yeah, the live
What?
stream.
That'll
we
be
need to
fun. We
bring
want to
Jack
do you can
Bauer
join
in.
in on that. We'll need that. Straight
Wow.
24
Jack
hours.
Bauer from 24.
Yeah.
Bring in like fried
Yeah,
chicken
we'll
and
get
that sort of
Kiefer
thing.
Sutherland
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
podcast.
I bet we could.
Is it Jack Bauer? Is it?
Well, that's the character's
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
The
Jack Bauer,
actor's
yeah.
Kiefer.
Kiefer, and then
Exactly,
maybe his
yeah.
dad Donald would
Yeah.
come too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Are they
We know you're
Christian?
listening.
CTS, right? Or was the crime unit he was part of?
Yeah, something
CTU.
like that.
CTU,
I
yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I've seen maybe.
Yeah, I just saw a license
10
plate
minutes
that
of an
said
episode.
24 Bauer or 24 CTU, and then on the
Nice.
license, like the top said Bauer, Jack Bauer.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a good show.
Yeah,
That's a
classic.
super fan right there.
Yeah. Oh, my dad and I used to watch that so much at high school.
It's a good one.
I
Yeah,
watched it twice. Me and
The
Lisa.
whole thing twice or
The whole
two
thing.
episodes?
The whole thing twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
Do
a
I
good
do I
show.
qualify now?
you got 22 more to
If I
go
be
to figure out
Are
what
you
happens.
Trying to apply for
A
super
friend-
fan status? Is that what?
A friend of Adam and Bob. I want to be accepted by
can
your
be a
family.
friend of
Yeah.
Adam and
Right
Bob.
now he's got
Okay.
FOMO.
Yeah.
Email. I'm not. I almost said my dad's email. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that would be-
Unless he emails me and says that I can. Then I
yeah,
will.
yeah.
This far into the podcast, though, the person probably already has your dad's email if they're listening this far in. So that's a good thing. They,
It's like an osmosis thing. It kind of came out.
I mean, like if they're listening this far in,
Yeah.
then they probably already have your dad's
Every
email.
fifth
In the
sentence
sense,
that I've said, the first letter has been another letter in the email.
no, I mean they
It's like an escape room
probably
clue.
Yeah.
they probably go to East Point and they probably are close enough to your dad
That they know his email.
that they know his email.
I don't know about that.
That was a
statement.
weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, I
That was
think
a
Yeah.
non sequitur right there.
yeah.
You didn't like.
I think that's a good indicator that maybe we're.
I thought I was.
Yeah.
I thought I was making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes one of us.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. Thank you to Josh for being our very first special guest, second special guest. We had Jim
Yes.
Tallman that one time.
Oh, that was
Thanks
yeah.
for being a special
thanks.
guest.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Josh?
for having me.
Let me know via email, adam@eastpoint.church, if we should have him back.
Oh, yeah.
And
Please.
have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Yeah.